A single sentence, and the world holds its breath. On June 13, 2025, Emmanuel Macron, staring straight into the BFM TV camera, drops a bombshell. If Israel were to be attacked in the context of retaliation by Iran, France would participate in protection and defense operations. A promise that hits like thunder, a commitment that could drag us into a geopolitical quagmire with incalculable consequences. Why is Macron choosing to plunge France into this mess? Who's pulling the strings behind this decision? And above all, why haven't we, the citizens, had a say? This isn't just a diplomatic stance, it's a reckless gamble, a blank check written with our future, and it's time to face what it means. Hey, it's Carlos. I hope you're doing well. Subscribe to this YouTube channel to stay updated on all the latest economic and political news in just a few minutes a day. To grasp what's at stake, we need to dive into the powder keg that is the Middle East, a chessboard where every move risks catastrophe. For decades, Israel and Iran have been waging a Cold War that's anything but cold. Israeli strikes on Iranian targets in Syria have ramped up, with no fewer than 150 raids recorded in 2024 by the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights. Meanwhile, Iran is enriching uranium to 60%, dangerously close to the 90% threshold needed for a nuclear weapon, according to the International Atomic Energy Agency. Both sides are provoking each other. Iranian drones shot down, cyber attacks on infrastructure, fiery rhetoric on all fronts. It's a high-stakes poker game where everyone's bluffing and a single spark could set it all ablaze. Into this chaos, Macron plants the French flag firmly on Tel Aviv's side, not a total shock, you might say. In April 2024, France already played shield, intercepting Iranian missiles and drones targeting Israel from a base in Jordan. But this is different. This isn't a one-off action. It's a clear, public, deliberate commitment, delivered with the confidence of a head of state who knows his words carry weight, and yet not a word to parliament, no public debate, no consultation with citizens. On X, the outrage erupts. Without asking the French people, fumes one user, Eric Archambault, in a post liked thousands of times, and they're right. Why this unilateral decision? Why this deafening silence on something that could entangle us in a major conflict? Let's dig deeper. This statement isn't a spur-of-the-moment move. It's a cold, calculated, almost surgical strategy. Macron wants to position himself as Europe's undisputed leader, a role he's coveted since Brexit and Germany's relative retreat from the global stage. In 2025, the European Union is in crisis. Italy is flirting with populist governments, Spain is bogged down in internal tensions, and Poland is playing its own tune. Macron sees an opening to establish France as the continent's diplomatic and military spearhead. Backing Israel sends a clear message to the United States and NATO. France is a reliable ally, one that doesn't back down. But that's not all. Behind this posture lie far more mundane interests. France is a titan in the arms industry, with $12 billion in exports in 2024, according to the Ministry of the Armed Forces. A hefty chunk of those deals goes to Gulf countries, Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, Qatar, all staunchly anti-Iran. These oil-rich monarchies buy Rafale jets, missiles, and French-made defense systems. By aligning with Israel, Macron secures these lucrative contracts, because Iran's enemies are Saudi Arabia's friends. It's business masquerading as geopolitics. Meanwhile, mainstream media, so quick to dissect the Iranian threat, stay silent on an inconvenient detail: Israel's 200 nuclear warheads, an arsenal never declared, never inspected, but very real, according to estimates from the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute. Why this double standard? Why scream about Iran's nuclear program while turning a blind eye to Tel Aviv's? The media's silence speaks volumes about the priorities of the powerful. But let's go further. This declaration exposes a France drifting from its diplomatic legacy. Remember 2003, Jacques Chirac, under pressure from the US, refused to join the Iraq War. A bold decision, endorsed by parliament, cheered by millions of French citizens who took to the streets to say no to war. Macron, though, is charting a different course. He's aligning France with an Atlanticist axis, disregarding the Gaullist tradition of independence and mediation. This isn't random. Since taking office, Macron has multiplied military engagements in the Sahel, where Operation Barkhane dragged on for years with little to show for it, in Ukraine, where France pumps weapons at breakneck speed, and now in the Middle East, where he positions himself as Israel's shield. Each time, the same refrain: France must assume its responsibilities. But for whom? Not for us? Military budgets are skyrocketing, 50 billion in 2025 per the finance bill, while hospitals close, teachers protest for decent wages, and young people struggle to find housing. This warlike posture is a distraction, a way to shift focus from domestic crises. 5.2% inflation in 2024, 18% youth unemployment, and simmering social anger in suburbs and rural areas alike. What about the consequences? Because this declaration isn't just a speech, it's a ticking time bomb. In the short term, it exposes France to direct retaliation. Iran isn't an isolated foe. Its allies, the Hezbollah in Lebanon, Shiite militias in Iraq, Houthis in Yemen, have the means to strike French interests. An embassy, a military base, a company like Total Energies operating in the region, anything could become a target. In 2019, an attack on Saudi oil facilities attributed to Iran rattled global markets. What would happen if a French base were hit, and who'd foot the bill? We, the taxpayers. A military operation, even a defensive one, costs billions. For context, Operation Shamal in Iraq and Syria burned through $1.4 billion a year from 2014 to 2020 per the Court of Auditors. That's money for schools, pensions, public transport. In the medium term, escalation looms. If France engages militarily alongside Israel, it becomes a legitimate target for Iran and its proxies. And let's not forget the broader context. Russia and China, Tehran's allies, are watching. A spark in the Middle East could ignite a regional, even global conflict. And in the long term, it's our future at stake. French youth, already suffocating under precarity, face a horizon where war feels more likely than peace. And for what? For interests that aren't ours, for arms deals, for a grandeur that reeks of mothballs. And are you still surprised? Because I'm furious. This decision, made in the plush halls of the Élysée, is a slap in the face to democracy. In 2003, Chirac consulted parliament before saying no to war. Macron acts like a monarch, with no debate, no transparency. On X, users are livid. Why risk our soldiers for a conflict that's not ours, asks one anonymous voice, and they're right. This declaration also threatens our freedoms. In times of crisis, governments love to tighten the screws, increase surveillance, restrictions on protests, censorship of dissenting voices online. We saw it during the COVID crisis. We see it still with security laws. A war, even a distant one, would justify more control, fewer liberties, and for ordinary citizens, it's a future of sacrifice, higher taxes, crumbling public services, and constant fear of escalation. Look around. This isn't an isolated case. Everywhere, elites are playing with fire. In the US, Biden keeps arming Israel to the tune of billions, despite pushback from his own base. In Saudi Arabia, Mohammed bin Salman funds proxy wars while selling himself as a reformer. And in France, Macron peddles a European sovereignty that looks like submission to Atlanticist interests. Everywhere, the same pattern. The powerful decide, the people pay. And meanwhile, crises pile up. Climate? Sidelined, even though 2024 was the hottest year on record, with deadly heat waves across North Africa and the Middle East. Inequality? Skyrocketing, with 9 million French people below the poverty line per INSEE. And democracy? It's eroding when decisions this serious are made without us. So what does this declaration say about us? It says we're at a crossroads. Macron has chosen his side, military alliances, juicy contracts, a warlike posture, but it's not our side. This declaration exposes a disconnected president, ready to play strategist on the global chessboard while France sinks into crisis. It reveals contempt for democracy, contempt for us, citizens who have no say, and it reveals a danger, a world where war becomes the norm, where the interests of the powerful trump our lives. So what do? We don't stay silent, we don't give up, we question, we debate, we demand accountability, we inform ourselves, we share, we mobilize. Because if we let this slide, if we accept this blank check, it won't be Macron or his advisors who pay the price. It'll be our soldiers, our taxes, our freedoms, our children. This declaration isn't just a sentence, it's a warning, a call to wake up, to say no to war, no to submission, no to the arrogance of the elites. Because in this world of noise and fury, the silence of citizens is the powerful's best ally. So don't be silent, get informed, resist, act. The future is ours to write.